Hello out there, everybody. Good evening. It's Chris. It's the Mad Respect. I'm back with this week's video. Let's get into it here. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty big unboxing this week. I got auction comics. I got FOC pre-orders. I got my weekly pre-order from the Discount Comic Book Service. And we kick off every video on this channel with my thoughts on comics that I read that I opened last week. So let's get into it. Start off with ongoing titles with Batman issue number 134. This is written by Chip Zdarsky with art still by Mike Hawthorne doing the lead story, and Chip Zdarsky writes both stories. The backup is has art by Miguel Mendonca. I actually would, as I look at the Mendonca art in the Tim Drake Robin backup story, I kind of wish that Mendonca was doing our displaced Batman in Time story artwork, and that Hawthorne was doing Tim's part of the book, because the art is quite, I wouldn't say it leaps off the page, but it's definitely a cut above what Hawthorne has been doing in our main story. So our main story is bringing itself to a head. Bruce confronts the Red Mask, who is this dimension's version of the Joker, who never went insane and instead used his knowledge as a chemist and that type of work to become the world's foremost expert on the multiverse. So he's able to take peeks into different dimensions, universes, and has seen in most of them that what the Joker is, and he wants to somehow become the Joker himself, because he thinks that's the truly unfettered form of his existence. And Bruce is like, "Oh, you want to be the Joker? That's pretty sad." And then Bruce recruits this dimension's Catwoman, and in previous issues of the story, he has interacted with this dimension's Alfred, who's still alive, and many people are theorizing that Bruce will rescue this dimension's version of Alfred and bring him back to the DC universe proper, so that Alfred could be back into the Batman comics. But of course, this Alfred is in love with the Leslie Tompkins of this dimension, so I don't think he's going to bring them both, because there's no need for two Leslies, although there is a vacancy for Alfred in the current continuity. Anyone have any thoughts on this? Leave them down in the comments. Do you think Chip has just created this alternate universe to bring Alfred back to current continuity, so that we can have an Alfred back and have it make more sense than the man who Bane murdered wasn't the man who Bane murdered? It was kind of a cop-out. Here is the penultimate issue to Dream Master from Black Box Comics from Jonathan Hedrick and Luigi Baraselli. Very cool. In the previous issue, the Night Queen, who's trying to take over the dreamscape and become flesh in the real world and take over the world, is using a blind man who's in his dreams can see the Dream Master wherever he goes. So in this issue, the Dream Master has an invitation to her realm, a type of card that he had picked off another one of her assassins earlier in the series, and because he has this card, she can't actually physically interact with him, nor any of the other henchmen. They can't hurt him in the dream realm, so he uses his dream powers to jump into another person's dream, and this is a dream of a woman who is on death row, and he's like, I need to wake you up because the dream master, the night woman is coming through, and you want to be awake, because she'll try to come through your dream into the real world. She's like, no, I don't want to wake up, because when I wake up, I'm going to be executed uh, in the real world, so I want to be asleep as long as possible. So he's kind of torn in that decision. So in order to buy time, he actually pierces out his own eyes in the dream world, which pierces out the eyes of the blind man. So the blind man is now blind in the real world. Now he's also blind in the dream world. So he's of no use to the Night Queen. So she promptly murders him and sends out other assassins after our Dream Master. And the issue ends with the woman waking up on death row, but you can see that he has inhabited one of the guards. You can see that the guard's reflection in the mirror is the Dream Master. So he is feeling for this woman on death row who had to murder an abusive husband. Uh, so he kind of feels for her in that sense. So maybe he's going to try and protect her in the real world while finalizing what's going on in the dream world. And I guess he was originally in the waking world before he took the job of the Dream Master from this Night Queen. It has something to do with his dead son, I believe. But it's definitely a very interesting series. If issue 5 is the final issue, it'll be a good wrap up to the story. But I'm hoping that Black Box they've had I think about a dozen miniseries in the history of the company, and only one of them has ever received a volume 2. So I'm hoping I've read that this is arced out for multiple arcs, so I'm hoping Black Box gives Jonathan a second arc for sure. Here's Moon Knight. I'm not going to say too much about Moon Knight number 22. This is the variant cover. So I'm not sure who the artist is without opening it up. I know his name isn't on the front cover. But I think it's Riley, Tom Riley. I think that might be his name. But this is a Tigra-centric issue where they find out that the old school Moon Knight villain, the Midnight Man, there's been actually 2. There's been the original one from the Munch and Sienkiewicz series who died, and then that character's son, who Mark mentions in this issue, he murdered himself, so he knows he's dead. So Tigra is like, well, we gotta find out who this new guy is because it's making us look bad at the mission. And Mark just tells her, no, just drop it. He's just attacking bad guys like the Magia or the Magia and AIM people, and then mobsters. And robbing from them. So it's not really like hurting anybody. So Tigra kind of takes offense to that and like, well, I'm a hunter. I need to hunt and find out who this guy is. So meanwhile, Mark is pretty close with Tigra, and actually there with Tigra and her daughter or son. Can't tell if it's a daughter or son. They don't really make it clear. I think it might be her son, but he just looks like a young Tigra, basically with short hair, same orange skin and tiger markings. So, and supposedly he is the son of Hank Pym, who she had a relationship back with at the time, but he's actually the son of a Skrull who was impersonating Hank Pym before Secret Invasion. So she doesn't have the heart to tell her son that he's not the offspring of the heroic Hank Pym, but really a Skrull spy. So, but it leads me to think: will Tigra's son ever get the Skrull gene and be able to shapeshift in the future? Who knows? But by the end of this issue, you definitely find out that Mark has been impersonating this new Midnight Man, and he's just doing these crimes and robbing all these criminals because the Midnight Mission is basically broke. And if Moon Knight were to go and rob criminals, the mission would be looked down on as they're just stealing to fund this. So basically, Tiger says, "Well, we're done. I don't want you coming to my house wearing the mask in front of my son. I thought we were going to be lovers and blah blah blah." And he's like, "No, the only thing I've ever been good at is hurting people." So then at the end of the issue, her and her son are about to watch a movie, and they have a thing where she watches all of her videos on VHS tapes because she's never trusted technology. So I don't know what the point of that was for this issue, but she's a technophobe. And then he shows up the door without the mask, but still wearing all of the rest of the Mr. Knight outfit, the gloves and the white suit. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to say I'm sorry, and you can you know that the Midnight Man's retired now, and you know, I want your son to know the real me. So then she starts making out with him, and then she calls in, Mark's back. He brought us a new movie, and I think he's my boyfriend. And her son's like, gross, which that kid would obviously do. So I guess they're a thing now, Tigra and Moon Knight. Here is the penultimate issue of Where Monsters Lie, issue number 3 of 4 by Kyle Starks and Piotr Kozlowski. It just keeps getting more and more nuts. Both the cop who survived these monsters is murdering several of these serial killers, and the serial killers are just making mincemeat of hundreds of cops, and it just sets up a conclusion where the main woman who runs this gated community of serial killers has already escaped, and her little Charles Manson archetype character has gone in and let out this giant demon dog who's killing people. And the cop has pretty much killed off at least 4 of the 10 serial killers in this one issue. And he's like, I thought it would be harder to get my revenge on these people. And then the big Jason type or like Undertaker type character is standing right behind him. So to be concluded. So we'll see how this one ends. I've been really enjoying the arc, and we'll continue with more Kyle Starks. Finally got my I Hate This Place issues 6 and 7. 6, this came out at the end of February. I finally got it last week. And 7 was from April. This might have been the first week of, it was either the last day of February, first day of March. So this is March's issue, this is April's issue. May's issue should be coming in the first week of May. It says that in here. But jumping right back into the series, you get introduced to Gertie, here, this is Gertie. Introduced to Gertie's biological family. Her father is this ultra zealous preacher, and who has these 2 guys who he considers his sons, but they're really just members of his congregation, and they're definitely like God hates fags type of religious zealots, and anyone who joins the church, you're joining it for life, because it shows in the first part that several members of the flock are not interested in his more extreme religious views, and if you try to leave, he'll just murder you. And so he takes the girls hostage in the first part. In the second part, the blonde escapes. I'm blanking on the blonde's name. Trudy escapes. And then they both end up jumping through a portal because the preacher is chasing her. And they jump through a portal, and they end up in some military underground bunker, which I believe was teased at the very end of issue 5. And only 3 more issues left of I Hate This Place. It ends at 10. That's a damn shame. I hope Image or Kyle Starks reconsiders in the future and continues this on, because definitely one of my very favorite series of 2022. Continuing here with Arc 2 in 2023. Here is the middle arc, penultimate issue, to Clear from Scott Snyder and Francis Manapul. I gotta say, art-wise, I loved We Have Demons. Greg Capullo. I mean, you can't match him when he's given time, and he's doing something he wants to do, which he obviously wanted to do. We Have Demons with Scott, and he had the time to do it to the best of his ability. So that was the best art of these comicologies. I think the best idea was Night of the Ghoul by Scott and Francisco Francavilla. Very cool cursed horror movie that may or may not be real type of paranoia horror series. Really enjoyed it. But this is definitely the best story of these 3. This is straight science fiction from Scott Snyder and Francis Manapul, where you basically this reminds me a lot of like a Philip K. Dick sort of thing, like Total Recall mixed with Blade Runner. So it's like basically you live in a future where you just wear VR all the time, and you can be whoever you want or see whatever you want all day in your life. And then there's people who are clear, who choose to not plug in anymore. And so our main detective is like that, and he finds out that his wife was murdered. She's been working for the Department of Justice, who are trying to make the shade, I don't know what it's called, the veil technology. Uh, they're trying to make it. They're trying to perfect it, I guess, and make it. You can either use it yourself, you can use it with another person safely, but you can't use it with a group of people safely. So he finds out that his wife has been trying to commune with their dead son through the veils, and that she found out. I think he finds out that she found out that the more people she can get roped into a veil, maybe she can reach back into the past through the veil and bring her son back to life, into reality. And he finds out there's another version of himself that was pulled out of a veil. Looks exactly like him, except he has yellow glowing eyes. And other characters know of these veil created people, and they're scared of them. They're like, oh, yellow eyes, we gotta get out of here. At the end of the issue, he jumps off a bridge into the water, pulling on a shared veil to try and reach into the pack and bring his dead wife, because she was murdered. You find out she's murdered in issue 1. He's trying to bring her back. He says, I'm gonna jump back as far as I can, and I hope I can bring her back. And to be concluded. So really looking forward to seeing how that ends. Definitely the best overall story. Very well written. It has tons of exposition, paragraph dump sort of things, but the way it's laid out on the page, it's not just big paragraphs. It's like used with dialogue and with captions. So the way it's all set up, definitely one of Scott Snyder's best overall stories. We're gonna go through my Free Comic Book Day issues that I received. I guess early. They're not supposed to be out till Free Comic Book Day is next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the first weekend of May. But I got some of my Free Comic Book Days from my, what would you call it, Discount Comic Book Service pre-order last week. Here's my first one. It's for Zetaverse Free Comic Book Day from Opus Comics. I'd say my favorite story from this was most definitely the Mothman. Basically, the Mothman lands on Earth while these two meth cooking families are out in the woods together. One's making out with his girl, and the other two are just flying a drone around. And then Mothman lands. They both think the other has blown up a meth lab, so they go to confront each other. And one of the two brothers is killed by a grenade. The Mothman, the first person he sees and interacts with is the dog, so he considers the dog who he's been sent to Earth to commune with. So he flies off with the dog, and that's the dog of the other guy who went to check on the meth labs. And so those guys are setting up for a confrontation because they blew up the one guy with the grenade. And at the end, Mothman is talking to the dog, and he's like, yeah, everybody else on this planet seems really backwards, except you, man. You're cool, to the dog. So that was pretty funny. And the Death Dealer story, I'm not reading Death Dealer yet, so I couldn't really jump into it. And then this, I can't remember what the girl is called. Jump to the front of this. So the first story is called Enter the Norseman, so I assume that has something to do with Death Dealer. But it's basically nothing. It says it's to be continued in Death Dealer number 12. So that's why I don't understand what's going on there. And the next it just says War of the Norsemen begins here. So that makes sense. And what is the last story? I think last story is Dawn Attack. So Rock and Robbie on his reviews really enjoyed the Dawn Attack. In this one, it shows spaceships. It shows like Planet of the Apes type of stuff. And it shows her coming out of her spaceship, killing an ape. And it just kind of ends kind of abruptly. She talks to one of her henchmen. But yeah, definitely, my favorite out of this is definitely the Mothman. And I'm not sure if that's gone on FOC yet, but I might pick up number 1 from Billy, Economics and Comics, if I can do a FOC pre-order. Second Free Comic Book Day issue. Star Wars The High Republic with Avatar The Last Airbender. Don't worry about Avatar. Star Wars The High Republic. It's by Daniel Jose Older with Harvey Talabawa. This is definitely takes place in the last part of the 2022 run of 2021-2022 run of High Republic Adventures that was at IDW. Has all the characters from that series on the Starlight Beacon as it's being blown up and falling planet side, and basically this is this character getting revenge on Zarx's brother. I can't remember what it's like. ZYXX is the name of the girl who was force sensitive, and her brother on that planet, not by blood, but her brother on that planet through family. He was definitely fully anti-Jedi, so he joined the Nile. So he was there like, ha ha ha, we blew up the beacon. I'm just gonna jump onto this shuttle with the Nile and watch you die. And she's like, no, I'm gonna use the Force and keep you here, and we're gonna die together. And it kind of ends abruptly. I'm wondering if there's a High Republic Adventures omnibus of sorts coming from Dark Horse, where they're gonna collect all of the IDW issues together in one big book, or not omnibus, what else do they call it? Compendium. It's a compendium. I'm not sure if IDW's doing it or if Dark Horse now has the IDW stuff to reprint. But yeah, it's going to have all the issues that were reprinted in the two smaller trades, as well as the final arc and the bake-off issue and all that together. And it says, and including never before reprinted stories. I'm assuming they're referring to this, because this definitely wasn't a reprint out of one of the earlier issues. This is new to this, but takes place at the end of that type of stories. This is one I kind of really enjoyed. This is Free Comic Book Day, Garbage Pail Kids. Oh, Mad Balls versus the Garbage Pail Kids. It's clips from the first 3 issues of that series. You meet these people who end up... because their father works for the bank and he's kind of been, I guess, embezzling or something. And they get kicked out of their swanky rich people's home, and then they find a nice looking house below market, so they jump on it, but now they live between the Mad Balls and the Garbage Pail Kids. Those are the houses on either side of them. So their kids are really happy to have new friends in the Mad Balls and Garbage Pail Kids, but the parents are, of course, aghast. Like, we can't live here, we gotta move out immediately. And then it shows them at a science fair, and then it has a bunch of, like, fun, like, crossword puzzles and fill-in-the-blanks type of stuff. So that was actually kind of fun, but the best out of these Free Comic Book Days so far is definitely Free Comic Book Day, The Umbrella Academy from Dark Horse. This is the lead-in to volume, I guess it would be volume 4 of the Umbrella Academy. Volume 1 is, of course, the White Violin. And then we had Dallas. And then Hotel Oblivion, which introduced the Sparrow Academy at the tail end. And Volume 4 will be called The Umbrella Academy, The Sparrow Academy. And this is basically a prequel to that series. Pretty confusing. Has a bunch of characters that have been in the Umbrella Academy before, but it's been a while since I read the source material here. It has the Hindu side character who's worked for the father, and he's like in some kind of sci-fi apparatus looking at some sort of into another dimension where there's some kind of like Cthulhu type of monster. And then they're like, oh, if we look on him as he looks through us, he can end up in our world, so we can't let him get in our world, so we have to destroy him. But instead of destroying him, of course, he houses him in storage. The main professor guy houses him in storage. And at the end, they show his robot wife opening the storage unit and going and sitting there with the Cthulhu type monster, who isn't contained at all. He's just living in a storage unit, and I guess she's going to let him out, because that leads directly into Volume 4. So maybe the Umbrella and the Sparrows are going to have to team up to take out this otherworldly monster. And a few more ongoings. Here's more Scott Snyder here with Noctera, issue number 13. The return of Blacktop Bill, as he's been fully demonized by the Shades. But he doesn't last long because they blow his head off by the title page. But he'll probably be back. But then you finally see who's living in Eos. They've been traveling to Eos through the whole series to try and turn on the lights. And Eos is populated, at least on the surface, by beings of light. They're there at the end. They're saying, "Hey, welcome to Eos. You made it." And they're all light, not light, but they're all composed of light. So we'll see how this continues. I'm enjoying the ride. Breath of Shadows issue 3. This is the middle part of the story, and some of the threads are starting to come together. The girl who's cheating on the professor type character with the guide is also cheating with our main character, who's the drug addicted lead singer of this rock band, and that all comes to blows as they find her making out with the singer, and the guide is getting mad, and the professor's like, "Well, what are you mad about? She's my boyfriend. Why are you?" So they all start wanting to kill each other. So she tells them, "You guys fight this out amongst each other. You guys be the man, and I'm gonna leave with the rock star because I'm a woman. I can choose what I want." So they go off into the woods. The other two go back to camp, and when they get to camp, one guide starts grabbing a shotgun. He's like, "Well, I'm gonna go back out in the forest and kill the rock star." And the rock star's manager goes, "I can't let you do that." And he's like, "Well, I'm the only one with a gun here." And he's like, "Well, I don't need a gun." And then you find out that the manager, you've had all these allusions to centipedes crawling all over a character when he's having bad dreams. You find out that his manager is some kind of monster composed of centipedes and gook, because he's monsters out and eats this guy with the shotgun. And at the end, our rock star finds the guy who wrote the book about this ancient Aztecian society and temple where it changed his life, and he went from being an alcoholic to being lost in the forest, but it changed his life. And the book got published posthumously, but this guy's still alive, and he leads this tribe. And you find out, he's like, "Well, do you still want to get off the smack?" He's like, "I definitely do." He's like, "Well, I got to shove you in this pit, and it's down there. You don't see what it is yet, but he gets shoved in there." And the girl's like, "Hey, are you down there? And it just kind of ends there. Definitely a good cliffhanger. We'll see if there's a big giant monster down there or something in the next issue. I won't speak too much on this. This is Radiant Pink, the penultimate issue, issue 4. Basically, in this issue, it's the first time that Ava, Radiant Pink, visits existence, where all the robots are. And through existence, she's able to return to our plane of existence with her new love interest, who's been using the same stuff that these people have been using the Radiant's powers to power all the evil tech, and she is one of them. And it's kind of weird that they have this cover here. I think they might have jumped the gun a little bit. This is the cover to 4. And then next issue, does it look familiar? I don't know if they jumped the gun on that or if that's a misprint in the back. But so basically a lot of making out between Radiant Pink and, let's see, Kelly. Kelly's her name. So Eva's like, wakes up and Kelly's there. And Kelly hasn't been able to get out of the tech suit that has been powered by being near Radiant Pink. She can't get out of it at all because it's like not fused with her physiology. So looks like they're going to be together, but obviously Kelly is working for the bad guys. So it looks like it says a tale most woeful is the name of the last part. So it looks like she's going to stab her in the back, possibly. Here is Star Wars: The High Republic, issue number 8. This issue gives us our clearest look ever at the Leveler, who was unleashed on Starlight Beacon at the end of the first year of High Republic, which takes place 100 years after these stories, which are taking place in Volume 2. So it's the prequel to Volume 1 and Volume 2. And you get to see full-on the Leveler for the first time. Basically, you saw his eyes glowing in the dark on the beacon, and you see people scared of him a lot. in the first arc. This is the first time you actually fully see him. And these two characters are the pirates who are stealing the Jedi artifacts out of the giant statue in the desert. They get the spotlight on the variant cover. That was that. And here's Carnage, issue number 12. This is Alex Packnadal's second issue. Picks up right where issue 11 left off with Keith Neely and Cletus Cassidy on a murder spree. It started at St. Este's orphanage where Cletus was born, and then they move on to what do you call it? A diner in this issue where Cletus is ordering everything off the menu, but he's still hungry. He wants his steak and eggs, and then one of the customers is like, "Well, this place is really busy today. You got to give him time to make those." And Cletus, being Cletus, he then murders everybody in the establishment. And meanwhile, the cops who have shown up at the Carnage at St. Estes gets the call that there's a hostage situation at the diner, and Miles Morales, I believe in issue 8, was kind of there at the beginning of the St. Estes Carnage. I don't really remember issue 8 too clearly. This issue comes out somewhat infrequently. I mean, this series comes out somewhat infrequently. But now Miles follows the cops there, and the guy who called 911 on the hostage situation gets thrown out the window naked, dead, with Carnage rules ripped into his back, and this will lead into the Carnage Reigns Alpha special by Packnadal. Good beginning for Packnadal to Carnage. Keep it up, it's been really good. And these are my two concluding issues. Mixed feelings about both. This is also Alex Packnadal with Casper Winger. This is All Against All. The series overall has been pretty cool. I had to read issue 1 twice before I really got into the series. The art was just like, wasn't letting me into it right off the bat. But once I heard enough people talking about it and how they liked it, I read issue 1 and 2 together. And by then I was fully invested and on board with all these characters. So basically this has been talked about as basically what if you made Alien, but instead of it being the alien versus a spaceship full of humans, it's a spaceship full of aliens fighting a human. So it's a reversal of the Alien story, basically. And Helpless the human has a final face-off with the Gorilla Suit Tech warlord general, and with the help of his father Alien and his daughter, they were able to take him out, and but close to fatality for Helpless. So her father decides, I'm going to jump into the Gorilla Tech, and then I'm going to nurse him back to health. You just go back. You now have my job. Go back to the spaceship. And at the end of this story, the other race of aliens that are coming to do war, they're just about to show up, and she doesn't know what happened to her father, so it concludes with her opening up the livestock sanctuary, and a snake and a wolf escaping onto the ship, and then they show her from a distance observing her father in the ape tech. So she's decided to go and try and find him there in the sanctuary, and not really worried about what's going to happen to everybody on the ship when the war begins. And the finale to 8 Billion Genies. If you do get this in trade, just stop after issue 7. This was so boring. If people think Scott Snyder does boring exposition dumps, Charles Soule is right up there with him. I should know, because when they both write Undiscovered Country, it takes me like 4 hours to read one of the trades, because they're very, very wordy. Basically, it's the two final genies with the two final survivors who both have wished for immortality, so they've been alive for like 800 years each. And the final genie guy, who was, you find out what he did for all those years, was he was the final genie of the first time this happened 16 billion years ago, or 16 billion people ago. and then he lived through the 1200s all the way through 2022 before the cycle started over again. Uh, and they go through it in exhaustive detail and boring detail, and then finally, the final the final person decides to wish that they don't want to wish, and because they make that wish, they turn to dust and die because their parents wish that she could always be safe, meaning she's immortal. But when she wished to not have a wish, that negated her parents' wish, so she just turns to dust and dies. And our final character was one of the three band members, and her original wish was for her other bandmate to fall in love with her, but he was outside at the time, so nothing wished in the bar can affect the outsider otherwise. But then she makes a wish inside the bar that the whole world will love each other, and that resets everything. All 8 billion people are back on Earth, but there are no more genies. But she wished it inside the bar. Does not or is it just that stuff outside the bar doesn't affect inside the bar? It's just boring. And my 2 number ones for this last box of stuff. My most anticipated book of 2022 into 2023. This was supposed to come out in the fall, which you'd think a horror book would do better coming out in the fall, seeing as it's the horror season. But Nightfall decided it would launch better in April. So here is the nasty number 1 from my man John Lees with art by George Cambadias and Adam Cahoon. Introduces all of our characters in a comprehensive but interesting way, and the concept of the story. They get the only copy of this is kind of similar to Night of the Ghoul, because this is the only copy of a cursed movie or videotape. They get a copy of it. They're starting to watch it in their murder club in the back of this video store that's going to have to close because they want to watch it to make sure it's worth it, because they're going to release it in a horror convention to try and save the shop. All these people, everybody wants to see this band or this lost horror movie, so that will help us save the shop. But then the tape starts eating itself, and it's kind of a cliche that's happened a lot in a lot of other horror types of. It happened in Last Boy Scout, for God's sake. The tape starts eating itself, so they pull it out, and they're like, what? Well, and so our main character, Thumper, says, well, why don't we make this movie ourselves? All these video nasties in the 80s, they were made on a zero budget anyway. We'll just make it ourselves and say it's that movie, and everyone will come and pay to see it anyway, because no one's ever seen it. And so she's like, no, you take this videotape because it's worthless. And so the rest of the gang isn't on with the idea, but then as he's walking home with he has his imaginary friend who's basically a Jason archetype, who's been his best friend since he watched the first of his movies when he was 8 years old, been following him around his whole life. And so he's almost sideswiped. Our main character is almost sideswiped by a car, and so he's like, "Whoa, watch where you're driving, asshole!" And so our Jason archetype picks up a giant piece of concrete and hucks it through the air, and it actually physically crashes through the back window of this car and totals it. And the kid's like, "You've never been able to interact with reality before. What's going on?" And you see the tape glowing red through his backpack. So the tape obviously is going to be able to make fictional stuff real. And I guess the whole idea of the series is they are going to try and film their own version of the movie, but the tape is cursed, so interesting. I'm definitely interested in these concepts. Final book in these boxes. Sorry to go on so long. I didn't think it would be going on this long. This is Sandman, Nightmare Country, Volume 2, The Glass House. This 100% introduces a new character who's working at a, I don't know if it's a movie company or an option company. They're working on options, basically. And he's working for the company who has optioned the story of the main character of Volume 1, the girl who was seeing the man with tongues for eyes, the big fat man with tongues for eyes, and she is presumed dead and murdered. So her story is being sold to his company, and they're making the movie. And so he's at a bar at a party, and then the main guy who runs this place, if you come to any of these parties, he'll invite you to a secondary party at another club, and at that point the money starts rolling in for you. So that night he's finally invited to that club, and then as he's being invited to that club, you see that he is also seeing this big fat ghoul with the tongues for eyes. So he's like, he understands what this girl has been seeing. So, but then you find out later in the issue, he's at work days later, and the guy's like, we have a new option for you, so I want you to come up and meet the big boss upstairs. And the big boss upstairs is Lucifer from hell, also from the Sandman. And so he's like, he asks him, what do you want out of life, and da da da. And then the final issue, the final part of the issue, you see them go back to this second club that he originally went to that you hadn't seen before, but you find out that this second club is hell, and you can basically go in there, and it's basically like kind of like a titty booth where you like put quarters in, you can see the women dance, but in this one you just go in and you go into a private room and you can see other people who are either suffering in hell or commune with other demons or murder people if you want, and anything goes there because you just went to hell. So very interesting issue. Corinthian only really shows up for like 2.5 panels in the whole story, but very interesting beginning. Tynion's got it going on again. I'm glad they gave him Sandman. Very cool. And if that's all Tynion does at DC from now on, I'm happy with it. Alright, so we'll begin our unboxings. This is one of 2 FOC pre-orders from Economics and Comics. This is the bigger of the 2. And I do have a concern that we'll get into after I get it open with this, because it has comics that come out tomorrow. But it also came out week 2. And if you have been into the industry or not, if you've been buying comics this month, you'll know what I'm talking about ahead of time. But so let's see what we got here. Yeah, it looks like Billy sent me. Well, it's cool in one sense that he sent me these, and kind of a bummer. I wonder if I hope he's going to send me the reissues as well, since one is 1 in 25. But let's go through this first box. More 8 Billion Genies. This is 8 Billion Genies issue number 8. And this is cover A by Ryan Brown. And cover C from, I believe this is Ryan Brown's wife or sister or whoever did this one. I think Melinda or something. It says it's the Make-A-Wish variant. Make-A-Wish variant. And if I had known how boring this issue was, I would have just stuck with the cover B. But I am going to be getting the deluxe hardcover Discount Comic Book Service exclusive, because I did really enjoy 1 through 7. It was a really good series. So all the rest of these are the same book, different variants. This is World Tree, issue number 1. This is the recalled Too Dark cover art edition. I'm happy to get one of these because I didn't know if Billy was going to hold all these back and then just send us the, because he has the new ones that do come out this 4th week, and they're definitely, you can see definitely a lot more in the art, but it's a different cover stock with, what do you call it, ticks all up and down it, and rips in some of the covers. So as much as I want, I might just go to my LCS Thursday morning on the way home from work and try and snatch a regularly colored copy of issue 1, and then I'll send Billy an email and ask if not this issue, I definitely want to get the 1 in 25. What do you call it? The 1 in 25 souped up For now, this is my only copy of issue number 1, cover B from David Aja. I ordered 2 of these from Discount Comic Book Service. They have not filled that order for me yet. But as you'll see when we get to Discount Comic Book Service, I might end up with more of these, because they also sent me copies of issue 1. Supposedly, 3 issues of number 1 in this box that we're about to open. But this is cover B by Aja. It's definitely my favorite cover that I have currently. Cover C from Jenny Frison. Beautiful. Par excellence as usual from Jenny. Love it. I can't wait to read this story too. I'm going to definitely read this while this video is uploading. And here is World Tree issue number 1, the 1 in 25 from Bill Sienkiewicz. I'm sure I'll really enjoy this cover. Please, Billy, you're not going to watch this video, but I'll send you an email. I don't care about cover A, but I definitely want you to send me the brightened up 1 in 25, because I want to see what this art what's supposed to look like before the color issues. So that is FOC pre-order, and this would have been for just a couple weeks back. It would have been for the 12th, because that was when World Tree was supposed to come out. Alright, so next we can get some auction items that I picked up. I watched the Southern Comic Geek Saturday morning auctions on the cheap stream, and bought some stuff from the host there, Southern Comic Geek, but I also bought some stuff from Tacoma Comics, who is actually, I'll get my knife back, in Tacoma. I live in Everett, Washington, which is north of Seattle, and Tacoma is south of Seattle. So Tacoma was asking what kind of comics everybody was looking for while they watched the stream, and I said I wanted horror, I wanted Tiny, and I wanted Scott Snyder, and he delivered on 2 of those counts. Horror and gonna have use for my extra bags and boards that they put on my Marvel previews pretty soon here, obviously. These are some pretty ugly looking ugly looking bags and boards here. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I do got some Mylar magic here though. Sweet. What? Well, alright. The second box is not going to be as necessary. From Scott Snyder, I now have my physical copies of the original miniseries Wytches from Image Comics, which is by Scott Snyder with Jacques. Issue 1, issue 2, 3, and 4. Great covers. 5. So they said we have 1 through 5, and we have the Bad Egg Halloween special. That is what the auction was for. And here's number 6. That was not mentioned as being part of that auction, but here it is. So that's cool. I have the full run. I have the trade. I've never actually opened or read the trade. I got it from the library a long time ago and neglected to return it. And it's in a box full of books that have gone through several moves. But I'm not sure if the Bad Egg Halloween special is in that trade. I would think not. But it's a beefy, it's almost a trade in itself there. So I was like, cool, I got Wytches, but I only have 1 through 5. So the same day I went to Hip Comic, who I have a relationship from before. I bought a few things from Hip Comic in the past. And I still had all my information all saved up so I went and I needed issue number 6 of Wytches. So eBay, the cheapest one I could get was $10 on its own, so I'm like, I can't pay $10 for just the one comic. So Sterling Silver for, I believe, like $12. I got a copy of Wytches number 6. This will be one of these 2 copies will be a future channel giveaway because now I have 2 copies. And got myself Ice Cream Man number 26, cover B by Ekman Law. So I'm slowly filling in singles for Ice Cream Man. I read pretty much 1 through 30 and 1 through 30 in trade paperback form out of the library, and then I started collecting Ice Cream Man with 31, I believe, 31 or 32, whichever one, however that works out. But now I'm starting to try to go back and fill in the singles from my personal collection, and then just to save some money on shipping, I got myself another foily House of Slaughter number 1 blue foil. I'm not sure I've opened these before. Is it foil all the way around? Pretty sure. Boom, nope, just foil on the front. I thought Boom was good about the foil all the way around, but for House of Slaughter, I like their foils, and I like Berserker's foils, obviously. So let's bust into week 3 pre-order from the Discount Comic Service. So as I said before, this also includes World Tree issues. That's enormous. I think there's a few titles that I get multiple variants for, so I don't think I have a total of 23. There's probably only 15 books here total, maybe, yeah, no more than 15 total books. So here's our invoice for this week. We'll jump right into it. Damn it. Here's World Tree, the 1 in 10 from Jenny Frizzon. The second copy now. Very cool. I'm glad to get 2 of the 1 in 10s. I got them both for $20 total. Let's see. I guess you could say that it's fair to say. Not bad. And 3 more recalled cover art number 1s. Why didn't you send me my so now is Discount Comic Service gonna send me the full art ones as well, since they were supposed to destroy these and not sell till this week. Oh well, we'll see what happens. There's a new series, issue number 2. This is No One, issue number 2, from the Massive Verse Black Market Narrative. This is from Kyle Higgins and Brian Buccellato with art by Borges. I really enjoyed the concept and the story of issue 1. Looking forward to getting back into that. Here's Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 24. Issue 23 was pretty good. Basically, he gets back to R616, but has left Mary Jane and Paul behind in the other universe. And since he caused the explosion in Pennsylvania on his arrival, the U.S. government is considering it possibly a weapon of mass destruction, and Peter stripped out of his costume to escape the area. So when they found Spider-Man's costume there, they asked all the superheroes who tracked down Spider-Man if they know who he was or know how to find him, so that Peter can stand for some questioning regarding that weapon of mass destruction. And Peter is like, I don't have time to talk to nobody. I need to get back there and help Mary Jane. And so at the end of that issue, he goes to Norman Osborn and goes, you want to help me, man? Help me, get me back there. So, but he has to beat on the Fantastic Four and Captain America within the issue. Like when Captain America's like, I just need you for like 2 days. We'll clear this up. I know you're good. I know you're Spider-Man. I know everything's cool. But you find out that Captain America knows that he's Peter Parker in that issue. And so when Peter hears 2 days, he's like, that's unfortunate. And then has to start beating him up. So my favorite ongoing at DC, Batman Superman The World's Finest, issue number 14. Second part of the new arc by Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Loving it. Here is, as of now, the only Dawn of DC trade dress book I'm buying at the moment is Nightwing, issue 103 from Tom Taylor. And this current arc has art by Travis Moore. This cover is by Bruno Redondo, who will be back soon. Here's where our multiples come in with House of Slaughter. This is issue number 14, cover A by, no, this is cover B. Cover A is awesome. These are cover Bs by W0rldtr33. So I get three per issue. Here is the penultimate issue to Dead Seas, the IDW Originals Initiative, one of the first 6 outings that they had the one-shot, the one-shot detailing them. Dead Seas. This is from Cavan Scott from High Republic with art by Nick Brokenshire. And this is cover C. I'm getting the C variant. And this month, the cover C is by Jacob Phillips of That Texas Blood fame. Let me take a look at that. That's Phillips. Creepy baby ghost cover from Jacob Phillips. Here's the final issue of Deceased War of the Undead Gods. This is the KL New acetate variant. Cyborg this month. I'm looking forward to looking at all those together with all the acetates. Here's Rogue Sun, the finale to arc number 2 from Ryan Parrott and Abel. This will conclude the second arc to Rogue Sun, also in the Massiveverse Black Market narrative with Radiant Black. Here's Gunslinger, issue number 19. Cover B by Thomas Ellie, who does the more animation type variants. But I believe this month's variants were by, I think they're a connecting set by Mark Brooks, so I wasn't interested in having connecting set, although I do normally like Mark Brooks's covers, but more likely on Marvel titles, not really on Spawn or Gunslinger type titles. So I got, again, variants on this. And I think I'm going to finally remember the first variants were by David Mack, and the second month was by somebody who I still can't remember. Here's Star Wars The High Republic Adventures, The Nameless Terror, issue number 2 of 4. We'll get back to this with Economics and Comics, because for some reason I spaced ordering 2, as I do with all of the High Republic books, for the most part. Ah, yeah. This is the cover of the box for sure. This is the Mateus Mahanini cover A variant to House of Slaughter, issue number 14, featuring zombified Aaron here. Very, very cool. He even has a staff, so this calls back to the Jenny Frison variant for issue number 1 with him and his golden staff. Who is that guy who did the covers next month? It's he did I'm gonna keep doing this in every video I ever talk about this in. Punisher, issue number 11, the penultimate issue of Jason Aaron's King of Killers storyline, with art by Jesus Sayas and Paul Azuqueta. 2 totally different styles of artwork that blend so well together to tell Maria's past and her past, and then her present and Frank's present with the hand as the beast of the hand. And this is cover B by not one guy. No, it's cover B. I know he does a lot of art. He does a lot of covers. Yeah. Cover B by Matteo Scalera. This kind of ties for cover of the week. This cover's pretty fucking awesome too. But that Mateus Mahanini cover is the tits. Here is finish out the box. These are my 3 connecting cardstock variants by Danny Luckert to House of Slaughter issue number 14. I don't have my connecting issue 13 cardstocks. I don't think I'm at this point. It's been a whole month, and they didn't come at the same time as these. I probably won't be getting them. I'm gonna have to get them somehow. You know, whether I eBay it or I find it in upcoming auction or something. I'm gonna have to get it. But Bianchi finally remembered. So the first month was David Mack. Second month was Simone Bianchi did the covers. So at that point, I was like, I'm out as far as these whole month Spawn creators. And then after Bianchi, we had Mark Spears. I got one of Mark Spears' covers. I'm skipping the Mark Brooks connecting set. What I'm opening now, comes from Southern Comic Beat, the host of Saturday afternoon comics or Saturday morning comics on the cheap. So I'm getting some more Mylar magic in this box. Pretty cool. If I can actually get into the box. Top there. Oh, I see. This is where I can get into the box. Sweet. That is cool. Definitely some Mylar magic here. It's tough to get out so far. But yeah, so he had a thing where if you spent $25, you got a spin on his wheel for a slab. So I tried to just spend $25 to get one space, and then another patron bought what was that series called? Star Wars: The Clone Wars #1 slab in some lower grade for like $600. So every 25 got you a space on the wheel. So just buying that alone got him like 30 spaces on the wheel, and I had one. I came within 2 wedges of getting that slab, which I think is pretty much almost as cool as winning the slab. I'm like, that was that I had 1 space on it, and I was like, pretty much the winning, and then 1, and then I was the next one. That's pretty damn close. But here's what I got from Southern Comic Week that morning. I got Bunny Mask, the hollow inside. This is I don't know if it's a retailer. I don't know if this is a retailer exclusive or I don't know if this is a, what do you call it? Not a retailer exclusive, but I don't know if this is incentive or a retailer exclusive, but I read the first volume of Bunny Mask. I thought it was pretty badass. And I haven't been able to get the second volume from the library. I don't know if the trade's even out, but now I can at least start out, read the first issue, and then reuse the Mylar magic on something. I'm probably put one of those Jenny Frizen covers in here for starters, because I love those covers. And then this is one that I read in trade after the whole thing with Jig. And this is the recalled Dead Rabbit, issue #1 from Image Comics. And it's signed by the artist, John McCrae, with certificate of authenticity. So I believe all of these came to like $7.50 or like $10 each. So very cool here. I read it. It came out. It was published as Dead Eyes, because Dead Rabbit is like a ska or punk band who sued for rights after they put out the first issue. That's the name of our band. You can't use it as a comic. Sorry. And so they had to redub the series Dead Eyes and reissue it. And it was a fun series. It's about a thief who has been retired for a very long time. And then his wife has a mountain of medical bills, and you find out who's the real monsters in the world. These, what would you call them? These people who run these insurance companies, or is it me? I'm gonna find the money somehow to keep my wife alive. And then this was actually what I started my purchase with that morning. This is from our friend Jonathan Hedrick. This is the recount preamble. This came out after the original miniseries. This is a one shot from Scout Comics. This is definitely a retailer exclusive. This is one of those Kirkham battle. What do you call it? Battle damage variants. It started with he started doing it with Invincible characters, and then moved on to multiple other characters, including here our clown from the recount. So yeah, this is where I first started reading Jonathan Hedrick, and now I'm collecting a lot of his titles, including Dream Master that we showed off spoke about a little while ago, and coming up soon is Capable and Quicksand, I believe in June. May, June. We'll find out soon. Last box of our video today. We're up over an hour again. We got another FOC pre-order from Economics and Comics to finish off. And this is, I believe, just catch-all cover buys on a catch-all book. Something I forgot to buy from Discount Comic Service for some reason or another. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got second printing action today. Here is No One, issue number 1, in the second printing from Image Comics and Higgins and Buccellato and Borges. Sometimes Friday through Sunday, Discount Comic Service will add additional printings, FOC covers, etc. But when they don't, I have to do catch-all with Billy at Economics and Comics, so grab myself this, and this past FOC, I picked up the third printing to No One, interestingly enough. And here is a second copy of Star Wars The Nameless Terror, issue 2. So I always get 2 copies of all the High Republic books if I can do it. So that is... I bet you thought I'd never get through that giant stack of comics there, huh? But I did. I did indeed. Let's try to get them all together in one spot so I can get them into reading. I'm definitely going to read World Tree while this video uploads. I'm interested to see how that goes, and I'm definitely interested to know if I'm going to actually end up with a full art version, either from Economics and Comics, or if Discount Comic Service will add it to. They actually didn't. They haven't already. My books for this week are shipping already, and nope, no reissued covers. But maybe it doesn't happen because they didn't show up in time. They're gonna show up sometime this week there. But talk about another couple of cool things that in the meantime. I was going into that thing about the IDW originals, the ones that didn't actually make it out. I remember now, the book was called Golgotha Motor Mountain, and that is from Lonnie Nadler and Ryan Lee on the art. Definitely really interested in that. And then, wait, don't turn my phone off for the second time for no reason. Turned out there was a total of 9 actually solicited, but only 6 showed up in that one shot. But coming in, 2 of them will be coming in July from IDW, starting with The Hunger and the Dusk, which is written by G. Willow Wilson. And the G stands for Gwendolyn, according to these solicits. It's usually G. Willow Wilson, but here spells it out. With art by Christian Wildgoose. That was a 12-issue miniseries from IDW Originals. And then an all-in-one original graphic novel called Arca is coming in July, which is written by Van Jensen with art by Jesse Lonergan. And then also in that original solicit, they showed a series entitled The Sin Bin. I'm not 100% sure about the creative team on The Sin Bin, but it's basically a washed-up ex-hockey player who has become kind of a bodyguard type, enforcer type of person, and he has to protect a young girl, and then they were besieged by a zombie apocalypse. So that sounds right up my alley. So I'm hoping The Sin Bin is going to make it out into the world, as well as Golgotha and Motor Mountain. So those are more IDW originals. We're talking about them on this channel as we go. And then I found out a new horror publisher. And the books you can order direct from the publisher. The publisher is Blind Cyclops Books. And their new book is entitled Godfly, horror graphic novel. A self-proclaimed tale of true horror, written by Ryan Oliver, founder of the company, and drawn by Jeff Cooney. Alright, so that's one. And then if you go down to where they show their, if you go to their site, which I will do here if I stop monkeying around. There we go. Go to the official site. Here's the official site. I forget what site I'm making it on. This is Blind Cyclops Books. In addition to the Godfly graphic novel, which is available there, there is one called Bird Feeder, which is also written by Ryan Oliver, the company head. So I think I'm going to take a flyer on Godfly and Bird Feeder together when I make my first purchase from them. And I'll discuss them on the channel after I've read them, give a review, and let you guys all know what I think. So that is cool horror news there. I just saw Evil Dead Rise yesterday. That was amazing. Definitely a step up for me from the 2013 remake. And though it doesn't hold a candle to the Campbell Raimi classics, but it does a good job of taking the concept of all in one night type of Evil Dead story. You show up at the setting, the possession happens in the first 30 minutes, and then the final hour is all carnage, all killer, no filler, let's put it that way. And they move it out of a cabin into a high-rise, what do you call it? What do you call it when you're going to tear a building down? Yeah, basically. They're kicking everybody out of the building, and they're going to tear it down. Condemned. They move it from a decrepit cabin in the woods to a condemned building, high-rise, a top floor, and they rip up the bridge at the mid part of Evil Dead. In this one, they attack the elevator and break all the stairs. The demons break all the stairs, so can't walk down the stairs, can't make it down the elevator. For a very stupid, reason. At least the elevator has a very stupid reason for why it's possessed and not working. I won't spoil that for people who want to see it, but and then the elevator gets shining. Anyone who's seen anything about it knows that the elevator has a shining homage to the elevator scene. So anyway, I'll let you guys all go for this week. I'm still waiting for a giveaway win. That should be coming here in the somewhat near future, I suppose. And I'll have next week's Discount Comic Book Service books to show off. And I'll tell you what I thought about this week's books, especially including W0rldtr33 from James Tynion. Looking forward to reading that. And probably going to discuss the Massiveverse books and Batman Superman World's Finest and all that good stuff. And so everybody take care out there. I'm also going to be looking forward to seeing Rockin' Robbie's review of World Tree tonight, because he didn't review it back in week 2. So I assume it will be on the weekly comic book review that I'll be watching while this video uploads. So, all right, everybody, take care out there in the community, and we'll see you next time. Bye.